Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are pleased to welcome Sergeant Major Denver Dill of the West Point Band, who will be discussing how music has shaped our national narrative. Ladies and gentlemen, Sergeant Major Dill.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's my pleasure to be here today. To Cyber, thank you for inviting me. I hope to provide you with 15 minutes of very interesting and yet entertaining information, all of which I hope is true because I know this will be put on the internet for the rest of my life. So I am the Army Music Analytics Team Leader, and I think if my slides come up, you can read what that means. What it is it's a group that is in place to describe the efforts and the effects that Army Music Program has, and we do that to various leadership throughout the United States Army. Recently, we had to come up with mathematical representations and kind of traditional ORSA work to explain who, where, how, why we were operating. And what you see up on the top here is a weighted scoring model that the Office of the Assistant Secretary of Defense Public Affairs had issued to all military bands. Now, it was actually much more simple than what you see here. It's just the Army decided we were going to do it and do it the best. And that has been verified, and so we, this past July, submitted those results. Additionally, because I'm at West Point, and we skipped ahead 2 slides, it's okay, we do research. And so we started a West Point Music Research Center, and I thought you guys might enjoy hearing where those 2 lines cross. So here's a picture of a research project we did teaming up with the Department of Mathematics and the Nielsen Corporation. So this morning when I heard the talk about information warfare, and we had the gentleman from the ad agency, I know exactly what you're talking about. You're speaking my language, and I love it. We take them down, and under the guises of using mathematical game theory to, and I assume this room is very familiar with that, talk about competition for people's attention in the purchase space of broadcast media. Frequently, I'm briefing band people, and so I need a slide that helps explain different types of analysis available. That's what this is here. So we could have looked at it through an optimization problem. We could have looked at it through statistical analysis, but we used mathematical game theory because you can only listen to one thing at a time well, or watch one thing on television at a time well. Some senior executives at Nielsen, former service members, welcomed us in, and you can see a picture of us visiting them down in downtown New York. And what you see here is us learning about their various technologies that they use to track and describe their audiences. So in that virtual living room, there are retinal scanners to see if you are actually watching. If you sign up for this privilege, right? You become a Nielsen family member, and then there are different degrees of that as well. So did you actually see that commercial that some corporation paid for? Army bands appear frequently on television broadcasts, everything from the Super Bowl to Veterans Day parades to television talk shows. And our ability to describe that effect, well, we've been rewarded for being able to do that. Let's see if I get this click. Here we go. Here's some of the example outputs that these cadets, they chose to do. And you're going to look and see a lot of social media analysis because at this time, this was 2017, that's what everybody was talking about. That's what they really want to describe. So here's some classification for effectiveness based upon photos in a Facebook feed. Okay, interesting. Here's another one that's like neglected geographical areas. So Army bands stationed all over the United States, how do you optimize reaching the most number of audiences? Very interesting. Well, this effort of national identity and describing and interacting with the public has been going on for a very long time, and I listened to our guest speakers this morning navigate offices like the Office of Wartime Information and the United States Agency for Global Media. I heard those, you've navigated them brilliantly. I've been working with the history department making timelines of that information, and so I was sitting there fact-checking everything that was going on. After World War II, it became imperative that we established a national identity that was different from our counterparts. So even back then, it was, we didn't want Russian music or German music. We needed to have purely American music. And the State Department looked to jazz musicians to become those ambassadors. So you see Louis Armstrong in Egypt. You see Dizzy Gillespie in India. These are men being ambassadors representing the great things that the United States could do, while in a time that they were not actually being accepted evenly throughout the country, if you think about that. Well, we also have Pete Seeger. and everybody knows a Pete Seeger song, but I wanted to show you just how ubiquitous folk American music has become. So if I click the next button, I believe we will have a video.
Perhaps the greatest song ever written about our home is the father of American folk music, Pete Seeger, his grandson, Tyler. Lead us, Pete.
You sing it with us. We'll give you the words. When I was walking that ribbon of highway,
as I went walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me, and in the skyway, I saw
Bruce Springsteen and Pete Seeger. Born in the USA, this land was made for you and me. That is clearly what's being communicated there. Well, you can expect that other countries would replicate our efforts, and they have. We look to South Korea, and they had a monetary problem, and they received funding in 1997 from the International Monetary Fund that they repaid within 5 years. The citizens even voluntarily had their jewelry melted down to help repay that debt. The president then at that time decided that he would invest specifically in cultural pop identity, a $500 million investment. I didn't know about that as a musician, but I did hear of Gangnam Style, right? And then today, as I told you, I assess Army bands, so sometimes that's Twitter scraping or other social media efforts. I learned about BTS, which is the current hottest. I see some smiles from people much younger than me. So you're familiar with BTS? If you go into Twitter and you search Army bands, because I'm looking for our group, you get BTS, because they have taken all of their culture and established these other ways of working to voting them up into popularity. So BTS Army, BTS Views, and BTS Voting Team. People are so dedicated to these K-pop performers that they're helping make them more popular. They're upvoting them. They're literally buying billboards in their hometowns trying to get them to attend. Very, very important. Because of the internet and because of craftsmanship, we have a global community now. So I just explained some of our national identity and how it was also recreated by another country. There's a global identity that's represented by the internet today. And I feel like this shirt and this video are part of that internet thing. We're looking at a person clearly using a phone, wearing a wolf shirt, and I was told I should check the Amazon reviews on that. But what I know that I want to impart to you is this is a master musician. And so what I want you to know is he's going to start speaking, and it's called conical. And it is a way of speaking to teach you how to understand some of these rhythms. At the same exact time, he's going to be moving his hands and clapping, which is used to teach tabla drumming. So let me put this out here. You're going to hear language and sound, and I'm not yet going to call it music. So let's see if we can have a good experience here.
Ta, di, gi, na, tum. Ta, ti, ki, na, tum. Ta, ti, ki, na, tum. Ta, ti, ki, na, to, ta, ti, ki, na, to, ta, ti, ki, na, tum. Ta, ti, ki, na, tum. Ta, ti, ki, na, tum. Dim, nakata dim, betakata dim, tanikata dim, nakata dim, betakata dim, betakata dim, betakata dim, nakata dim, tanikata dim, betakata dim, betakata dim, nakata dim, takata dim, tanikata dim, takata dim.
Incredibly complex, right? But because it's so good and so complex, the internet starts to take over. Now we're in a space where time no longer matters. So I can obsess and learn what you just showed me to death. And here we have it. You have Mono Neon. His name is actually Dwayne Thomas Jr. He was a child prodigy bassist. He was one of the last bassists for Prince. An exceptional performer, but let's not overlook the obvious. We're wearing a ski mask. For any musicians in the room, the bass is played backwards and upside down. Enjoy.
Ta, di, gi, na, tum. Ta, ti, ki, 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 na,
But wait, there's more. So now that we all have heard what we might start to say is the tune, I expect you to start singing along. Now for me, this is the intersection where it starts to become specifically music, because while the bass behind it works for Seinfeld, I need a beat. I need something I can dance to. I didn't hear much singing, but I would like to emphasize this point before I play you my final video. It's because of their craft. It's because these people are experts at what they do. That sense of professionalism at whatever your skill set is, that's something that musicians take incredibly seriously. What we do is, and we become socially awkward because of it, we take ourselves and we shut ourselves in rooms, and then we just keep track of everything we don't like about the sounds we're making. And you do that for years, and then you walk out and you're still maybe not at that level. So I want to try to inspire you a little bit, and I want to say that there's always more, and that culture transcends boundaries, and that's why the arts are great. Please enjoy a short 1.5-minute video that I think takes it from sound to signaling all the way to music, and it's all because of expertise. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.